Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org. Consequence and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks for making your way here for checking out the series. You know what to do. If you like what you see, what you hear, hit that subscribe button. It's a great way to keep up with all of your favorite artists. And I got to tell you, one of the greatest of all time I get to talk with today, Taj Mahal, is here. Got a new live album, Grammy-nominated, swinging live at the church in Tulsa. Hello.
Hello, hello.
It's good to see you, and let me be part of what I'm sure many people congratulating you on. Actually, I think a pair of Grammy nominations this year. How many Grammys do you have sitting around at this point in your life?
This is probably about the 13th or maybe 15th nomination, and I have four Grammys presently.
Yeah. At what point do they start being doorstops instead of mantelpiece?
Never. I never played the game like that. I mean, if you've been involved in what it's been that I've been doing, I don't. My music has always been on a positive upstroke. I've and my interviews have just not been about haranguing or anything. You'll figure that what you put out there and what you drawing towards yourself. You know, no, it's all positive. You don't take none of this stuff for granted, man. This is a gift. First of all, the music, the ability to play music is a gift from my ancestors from generations and generations and generations, and not just recently, And a lot of what I do goes back to the 11th and 12th century, in the Songhai Empire, and that's what informs the finger picking style,
Mhm.
of the West Africans that were brought to the United States and the Caribbean, and also to South America. But the blues grew up here, and if you can go to Cuba or Santo Domingo or any of the islands, and you don't hear no blues until you come to the United States, and that's a specific sound that came from a certain bunch of people in the Songhai Empire, which include Mauritania, Senegal, Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Guinea-Conakry, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. So if you start with me, you better realize that I'm very serious about this, but I'm positive.
Mhm.
So no, I don't take none of this for granted. This is a gift, and it's to be you know, curated and taken care of. And that's what I've been doing.
You can hear that in the music. You can hear that in this live album. And it's interesting that you talk about, like your influence. Of course, some people say, they'll talk about their influences and they're talking about artists from 20 years ago. You're talking about artists from hundreds of years ago, basically. And I read this little part about your history about how, you were sort of, correct me if I'm wrong, self-taught, but with a comb. Like you used your a comb on your stepfather's guitar, and that's how you learned to play guitar. And
No, yeah, no. Okay, that's let me clarify that.
okay, all right.
Yeah, what happened was what happened was that my stepfather came to our family with a guitar, unbeknownst to anybody in the family, including my mother. And he's a Jamaican. My father was from St. Kitts and Nevis, and my mother was from South Carolina. My stepfather was from Jamaica. Yeah, he was actually a family friend after my father, passed away, and then my mother remarried. So anyway, what happened was that one day, playing hide and seek in the house, as I was the eldest, because my parents were off. My mother and my stepfather were off making market on a Saturday, and it was raining, so we were inside the house. Anyway, my stepfather had a friend originally. However, the story came out years later that played really good guitar, and he wanted to play guitar too. So he bought himself a guitar, and try as he might, he never was able to get anywhere with the instrument. So the instrument came with him, and he put it in the hall closet, way deep in the back of the hall closet. And um, I had that day hid inside the hall closet and backed up against the guitar and went, what I knew by the feel of it, it was an instrument, it was in a case, and I took it out of the case, and I was just, all bets are off. You can find me if you want it, but I got this guitar. And so then I would go across the hall from the closet. There was a door that led it to the basement or the cellar, and I would close the door and sit there and try to figure out what do you do? How do they make all that sound out of those instruments? Because I could hear the sound in my head, and every now and then hear it on the radio, but I couldn't figure out how to do that. And then I knew that they played with some kind of pick. I could see that they did that. So my mother had some old combs that the teeth had been broken out of, and so I figured I didn't know, so I broke the teeth out of it, trying to, play and use that as a pick to
Mhm.
try to play the instrument. Still, nothing happened. What the story goes to is the next level. As the kid moves in next door to me, is about my same age or maybe a year older, and he was from North Carolina. We knew his family. His family lived next door. And he and his brother had moved up. They were a large family, 14 of them from Lewisburg, North Carolina. And he could play, but I didn't know this at the time. So we're a couple of boys bragging over the fence. I got a bicycle. Well, I got a baseball. You play baseball. Oh, well, you play marbles, blah, blah, blah. And then he decides he's going to top the whole thing up and said, I play his guitar. And I said, well, I got a guitar. He said, well, then let me see your guitar. So I go in the house and I bring out the guitar. And the first thing he says to me is, you got a pair of pliers? I said, yeah. So I go back and get the pliers. And when I come out, he's unwinding the wound G string. So that's a straight piece of wire that they wind windings all the way around it. Okay. So he's unwinding the G string off. He takes the G string, he pulls it, and he takes the pliers and he pulls the winding off of the G string. So now you got an unwound G, tightens it back up again, and then he plays that little whining note on there. He said, "Now that's how you make it talk." Well, there's no epoxy or gorilla glue in the world that couldn't keep me away from this. I mean, I was welded to this guy. I couldn't believe all the stuff he could play. He was my same age, and he was playing music that you didn't hear on the radio, but it was deep in the tradition. So I hung out with him and learned some different kinds of things, particularly Jimmy Reed music. That was really good. A little bit of Lightning Hopkins, some not any Muddy Waters, but Blind Blake and people like that. And then up the street from me, around the corner, 5 houses away, lived some young people and their family from Clarksdale, Mississippi. That's what they said. They were actually from Stovall, Mississippi, and from the same plantation that Muddy Waters came off of. So,
Wow.
how did I move? How did they move us
Wow.
into the neighborhood?
Yeah.
How did that happen? Obviously, that was supposed to go down, and I was so taken with this music because it was real, it was natural, it didn't have anything to do with writing down no notes. It had to do with pure emotion and pure culture. And so I just said, wherever this shows up, I'm following
Yeah.
it until I learn how to do this. And it doesn't really matter whether you can make a living at it or whatever. All I really was concerned with was being able to play it,
Yeah.
actually, because it seemed to me that opened up some another a restful place in this life if you can really come up to know how to play that, and you really accomplish something. So following in those footsteps.
Yeah. So that it starts to make a lot of sense then, because for you to have such a singular original sound that you came out of, I mean, what's that line about necessity being the mother of invention? Like that's
Mm,
what it reminds me of right there. But and again, correct me if I'm wrong on this. Your dad, who had something to do with Benny Goodman as well, right? I mean, was that any influence to you?
Yeah, and I just actually just recently did an album to to you know express that, but the main thing of it was is that what the things that my dad showed music showed me and my mom's music too, because they came together during the early jazz era, in the 30s, and they actually met at the Savoy Ballroom. The album's called Savoy, and it's all about that kind of music. But everybody back in those days was to develop their own individual sound. You know, I could tell one saxophone player from the next, one piano player from the next, and because that's what people did, and people looked for you that, yeah, okay, piano players were a dime a dozen, but if you were somebody, you had a sound, and not only did you have a sound, you had a particular sound that identified you from everybody else. So yeah, that kind of thing. And then there was the situation of those who learned to play, by notes and by that kind of teaching. And I chose specifically not to learn to read the notes. I said, Africans don't read no notes and won't listen to all the, you can't wade through all the music that's on the continent of Africa. Yeah, you can apply note reading once you really got the music, but the music comes first. Which comes first, the music or the paper? You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, to you found that, and then to jump in our timeline that we're talking about, 60 years to this new live album that we hear you on. I mean, and all that's on display in those songs still. And that's the thing. It's like you've been playing, I mean, a song like Queen Bee, which sounds just as good in this Tulsa live album, as it has over the decades. Like, how do you still connect to a song like that you've played probably countless times?
Because you play it's new every time you play it. You know, it's some I mean, it's to me, there's a magic that I look for in the song, and when everything is right every night, that magic is there. And I don't know how the audience is going to receive it, but I know what it has to be for me to be able to play that song and enjoy it. So, and that's the only time I get to do it is that time. You know, I mean, I'm not like a machine that's like putting out multiples of the same thing. It might be a little longer, a little shorter. It might, change a lyric or two here, or it's. But usually, there's a form and a frame to it, and there's certain things I want to hit every night, and if I hit them, I'm happy.
Yeah. Well, again, and all through that, why I should bring up this because the venue itself, it's special. Like the church, right, in Tulsa. Like, why did you want to pick that particular venue for this particular show for this particular live album?
Well, it all started out with a good friend of mine, Claudia Lanier. And Claudia Lanier was a backup singer originally she was one of the ICATs with Ike and Tina Turner. And she also was on the Mad Dogs and Englishmen tour. Anyway, she was still singing, and she was invited down by Teresa Knox, who owns that venue now, and has put sizable amount of money. She was on there with Rita Coolidge and Pam Poland and some other ladies that were some background singers on the Mad Dogs and Englishmen. Anyway, I knew Leon out in California, and we did a little bit of playing together, and we saw each other recently. Well, it was a number of years ago. Did a project for T-Bone Burnett,
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
it was a really interesting project. And anyway, so she had gone down to Tulsa to do a show, and so when she got back, she called me and told me she had spoken to Teresa Knox, who was running this place, and said that if I'd be interested, maybe I'd like to come and play a show there. And so at this particular time, I was working with a sextet
Mhm.
And you know, I didn't have any direct plans to do any recording, but I did want to. We did want to, you know, at least give a shot at giving a good recording because it was a great sounding band. You know, mostly all strings, and so uh, Teresa got in touch with me. We talked about it, and then we got a I got a contract for to do an album, and they said, well, okay, I'll do it down there. That'll be make a great place because the congregational room is where everybody is in for the performance, and then the rectory, right, totally adjacent, is where the sound equipment is, the studio,
Mhm.
you know, the actual recording studio is, and you know, Teresa really took the time to really bring this structure back in, put a wonderful, beautiful statue of Leon out front, and you know, just really brought the place up to put a sizable amount of money into it, and great microphones and equipment on the inside. So it was an opportunity to record, and then it's got that sound in that room. You know, those church rooms have a particular, really wonderful sound, and so I thought that would be a great place to record. And Teresa was really excited about me coming in and recording there. And so, yeah, we did it, and it's out there, and obviously it's picked up attention from uh, from people who like music.
Yeah. I mean, the moment that producers and engineers were able to start putting studios in churches, man, that became instant because I mean, from what you're because of what you're saying, I mean, the sound in those rooms is just perfect. They
Yeah,
figured that out 1,000 years ago. That's
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like great sound, you know.
yeah. But even like, I mean, you get to the point in the end of that record where you guys are doing Me No World and the jam that comes out of that. So, I mean, those moments are so magical. Like the moments when I guess what I'm saying is we can feel that room even on the record, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, my when people were leaving vinyl and analog, I just said, you know what? I don't care if I'm the last man standing. I'm not giving up vinyl. You know, there's the music of the spheres. There's the music that comes in from the creator. There's the music that comes into you as a somebody who's chosen, lucky, to be chosen to be that person. That should be able to share that music. And then you compose something inside, and then you have an instrument and you compose on that, and then you play that in a live situation to somebody hearing it, and then you play it to an audience that hears it. And then the next best way to hear music is, I mean, the best is live, and and the uber best is if you're playing it and it comes and visits you. You're the composer, but the best way to hear it, outside of hearing it live,
Mhm.
is on vinyl.
Yeah.
And so, uh, that's one of the things that we did, since 2008, I've been, 2008, I've been doing, my making sure that all of my releases are on vinyl. And I've gone back and, you know, um, gotten a hold of some of my older, records and put them out on a limited release on vinyl,
Mhm.
because vinyl never goes down below 6% globally, no time, anytime. And so now it's receiving a bump because people, there's a whole generation that never had, a vinyl record and could look up the notes on the back and, and have something full that they can feel in their hands. So we're back.
I just hey, my son, his best friend, come over the other day, and he was holding a record he got for Christmas. It's the first record he ever got in his life. He asked me if he could borrow a record player, and I'm telling you, the magic in his eyes.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing, man. I mean, that 2008 record was a record I did called Maestro, and Um, I was down. I was at one of Neil Young's has a festival that he puts on every year and raises money
A
for.
bridge school. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's doing one of it. Yeah, it's doing one of his shows, and the and that and the young boy came in with the vinyl record that he wanted me to sign. And I said, "Well, what's got you listening to the vinyl?" He said, me and my dad. He said we have a special thing that we listen to vinyl. And so I said, "Well, thank you, young man. Keep it up." It's really nice, to see that. That's now gotten to be something that you can pass from one generation to the next. I know the Mexicans do it. They do it real good. They pass their whole whatever it is they're listening from one generation to the next. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So now you get to, I mean, I don't know how much you got in the old vaults, the unreleased stuff, but this gives you an opportunity to really put a shine on some of that stuff too, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. We got plenty. We got plenty of plenty. I got plenty of music. There's no shortage of that. And it's just like it's always trying to put an elephant through a straw when they with the gatekeepers and the release situation and what deal with this digital situation. But we'll create some other type of way to bring traffic to to us and get that stuff out there and be released. And right now, I've got well, four releases in the market. The last one, excuse me, that won the we got a Grammy for it. Ry Cooder and I
Uh-huh.
get on board, and then there's Savoy, which is the jazz album with a wonderful jazz band we put together for it, and then there's Swinging Live at the Church, and then there's um, a, a limited release I think it's 3,000 pieces to a subscription situation where these 3,000 people subscribe and they listen to different tapes and they put them out on vinyl. And when the 3,000 are gone, that's it. And get another title, you
Yeah.
know.
That's
So
fun.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then we're also too we're four albums ahead with the Phantom Blues Band, and we hope that maybe at the end of this year and beginning of 2026, we're gonna get that information out there. There's a lot of music, man. Believe you me,
Yeah.
it's like you know, it's
That's not even including that single I saw. Was that new? I'm too young to be this old.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the story on that one?
Well, there's a uh, keyboardist, Mindy Cantor, who's who has bands in and around the Bay Area, and um, she came to me and said she said I've got a song I think that would be something that would be good for a song that I think that you could do a good job of singing, and so we put our heads together and she because she's a keyboard player and she's a piano organ, B3 player, mostly B3, and a flautist, and she does some singing and has different groups around. So anyway, I know her through her playing with this. It's really funny because I was just playing this man's music. There's a guy from Sierra Leone named Suleiman Roji, and when Roji came to the United States, she was one of the keyboard players that played with him and got that great African sound with American musicians, and not all of them, of African extraction. So I thought that she must be really good if she could play on that kind of stuff. And because I listened to the records and enjoyed them, actually have two of them on vinyl, and but so really good player. And I see her on the Blues Cruise every now and then, and we check in with one another to see what's going on. Sorry, they're playing somewhere. And so I got involved into this project. It was, just to do the one song, not to do an album or anything.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. And our demographic is happening like that. You go like, wow, I'm too young to. It's old. You know. And so a lot of people are enjoying it. And that's the that's the thing. That's the creme de la creme, or the pure guava is when people are enjoying it and passing it around.
Yeah, that's a good line to grab a hold of for any
Oh
songwriter
yeah.
right there. That's what you're looking for, a line like that. I so enjoy everything that you put out, and again, congratulations on all the success that you continue to have, and the nominations and the albums. I cannot wait to hear what comes next from you, as always. Sir, seriously, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about it today.
Well, it's a great pleasure to have to be recognized by your peers, and for years, uh, I I don't know if I felt this way, but sort of hidden in plain sight, and
Hmm.
when we find out, ultimately everybody was watching anyway. So now I know, and I'm very pleased and I'm very thankful.
Yeah, we'll keep celebrating you. You just keep giving us the music.
Oh yeah, I'm giving me music. You just get to hear what I like.
I appreciate it. All right, thank you so much again.
Yep,
It was great talking to you.
my pleasure.
All
Take
right,
care.
take care. And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week. New one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All 3 of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.